Who do I call if it ain't you? Tell me who to call if it ain't you.
Put on some makeup for the first time in weeks for this. So
I feel you. Oh my God. How are you handling all this craziness right now?
Well, in terms of myself, I'm doing like okay. I like kind of am a homebody anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm not different for myself. But as far as the business goes, definitely feeling it there. So I kind of like sell my popsicles and my ice cream in in stores and in these like pop-ups in other restaurants and coffee shops and stuff. So
Totally.
with all of that being contactless, I can't really do my pop-ups. And the grocery stores, I'm in two grocery stores and one of them is closed right now.
Oh no.
Shout out to Food Fight, they're the best. But I'm also in People's Co-op, so they're kind of I know still open but doing like 10 people in at a time, so
Got it.
feeling it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think a lot of creative entrepreneurs, no matter what service they're selling, I think they're definitely feeling it right now. And I think there's also this hesitation to continue going out and finding new clients or new work. I think everyone's kind of like, well, the world seems pretty stressed out about this. I wonder if it's a good time to sell. I think that's another conversation that keeps popping up in here. Since
Yeah.
everyone's in here, I'm going to do like a little bio introduction of our queen here. So if you guys don't know, Ice Queen PDX is a vegan paleta and ice cream company here in Portland. When they're not in the kitchen creating kawaii goodness, you can find them reading politics and theory. They're passionate about being community oriented. Yes, we love that. And what it means to navigate and push the boundaries of business, identity, and radical politics. All beautiful things that we love, topics that we love to talk about. And I think to get us started, like, I would really love to know what it is that inspired you to start this business.
Yeah, so kind of the beginning of it started like 4 or 5 years ago. Just kind of working for other people and other vegan companies that I didn't in kitchens, and I didn't feel like they were treating their employees like how I felt like they should. And that kind of raises a lot of questions with like veganism, because there's so much emphasis put on caring about animals, but a lot of times people are kind of forgotten about. So I think that for me, it was a lot of like, I don't know, trying to, not to sound cheesy, but like be the change that I want to see or something.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just felt like I feel like I have like skills to run something, and yeah, just kind of seeing that need for like the crossroads of like politics and identity and all of those things, and trying to like bring them into one thing. And then the other aspect of like ice cream specifically is like, yeah, I've always been into like cute things, and like I've always just like worked in food service, so the kind of like where those worlds meet of cute and food is ice cream.
Totally.
And yeah, I guess that's kind of like where it was. And then I started with not a company, a nonprofit called Mercy Corps. And through their entrepreneurship program, I was able to kind of like hone in what it was exactly that I wanted to do.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said that you've been running this company for 4 years?
So I've been actually selling for over two now, but I started the process with Mercy Corps and like taking all their entrepreneurship classes about 4 years ago. And and just kind of like playing with the ideas, because initially I wanted to open a vegan deli that made ice cream, and kind of
amazing.
The program is so awesome. I was able to like realize that I didn't actually care about the vegan deli, and that I was totally just like fixated on the ice cream, and so it made no sense to like continue with that idea. So
Yeah. I think what drew me towards you, I recently moved to Portland, and I've just been meeting all these different female entrepreneurs and creatives, which has been super exciting for me. I think like the fact that you are representing a product that's vegan, but then there's also this like pretty hardcore like Latina branding really spoke to me. And also like for people that don't know, like having a paletero on your block is such a like staple of growing up, especially in Southern California, which is where I grew up. Like there's so many memories connected to going out and getting ice cream during the summer and like hanging out with your friends and your family. And I think like for me, when I saw what you were doing, I was like, oh, this is such a cool like transition from that experience, because like I've literally always been lactose intolerant but didn't know. So
yeah, for sure.
It's like the damn paletas are so good, but a lot of them were milk based. And so knowing that there's someone that's like catering to a person like me is really awesome.
Cool.
I also want to know like a little bit about your background. Like where did you grow up, and paint us like a little picture of who you are.
So I grew up in California also, from the Bay Area, from Richmond specifically. A lot of people are not really familiar with where Richmond is, but it's pretty close to Berkeley. And to paint a picture of what that's like, it's very similar demographically and economically to Oakland, but just smaller. So I grew up there. Yeah, I spent so much time like hanging out and running around the Bay Area until I was like 20, which is when I moved here. Shamefully, for a guy I met on MySpace.
Hey.
So
who remembers MySpace?
So that's kind of how I ended up here, and I think I did a lot of like, you know, what everyone does, at least like in the mid 2000s when they move here, which is just like kind of just hanging out. Everyone just is like hanging out here forever. And then like, so it took me a few years to like really find a community. I had like a lot of acquaintances, and I think like as I started to get more comfortable here, I started to transition personally and like my interests. I started going to school, and I started this company. So that's kind of like the background of how I got here.
Yeah. So why the name Ice Queen?
So I initially had another name. It was called Tiny's, and
oh really?
for two reasons. I am a fairly tiny person. I'm only 4'10", and I had a rabbit whose name was Tiny Dancer for like, he passed away last year at 11 years old, and he was kind of my bud, and he lived in every bedroom and party house and everything I ever lived in. So I just felt a really strong connection with him. So that was the initial name. And then I discovered really quickly there is something else here called Tiny's. So after one pop-up, I changed the name. And I don't know where I like Ice Queen just kind of like came to me, you know, and I think Ice Queen as a brand like means, the name itself like means a lot to me, because it flows really nicely into this brand identity of like Chicanx, like the Old English and like all of that put together. I feel like it's really on brand and it feels really right.
Totally. For some of our viewers in here, do you think you can explain what Chicanx is? I know it's like kind of hard for people to understand sometimes, but I would love for you to give a small explanation?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of interpretations of what Chicanx is
Totally,
and
yeah.
what who identifies as that. So Chicana, like the initial emergence of that word kind of comes out of the 60s and the Mexican, like, there's like, it's a really political time for all groups, not just Mexicans. And I think there was this period of time where the generation after the people who were immigrating from Mexico didn't know how to identify into like American society, because to their Mexican grandparents and their parents, they weren't quite Mexican enough, and to American people, they weren't quite American either. So I think there's a lot of there was a need for a word at the time, and specifically, I think you can like also go back and look into Southern California and Northern California, is where like you start to see that word really come out. And then the X, Spanish, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm pretty like aware of how gendered it is as a language. So the X for me, I use she, her, and hers pronouns, but it's important to me, like when I'm talking about Chicanx and Latinx culture, that I use an X, so that I'm specifically talking to like everybody, not just like one demographic of people. I personally identify as Chicana, but I use Chicanx when I'm speaking.
Awesome. I would say for all you in the chat, if anybody has a question, now's a really awesome time to just drop it in here, because we have two really amazing people that are ready to answer them. And Rebecca, I know that you're so read up on so many things. If there's any topic that you would like to jump into right now while we're waiting for questions to come in, like I would love to hear more about you and what influences you and what really drives you to do what it is that you do.
Hey, Juke Juke. Yeah, so I think there's a few things that drive what I'm doing, which is like this sense of like trying to do business but do it differently, which sounds like this is where like I kind of briefly noted to you that I think a lot and read a lot about the intersections of like business and identity and like how to do those things. And especially coming from like a background of like semi-radical political views, it's really hard to kind of like feel good about starting a business or like feel good about selling things. So yeah, so I just always try to like navigate that. And like my drive for this comes from like, I didn't enjoy working for other people. I thought it was like really exploitive in a lot of ways. And I'm sure there's a lot of really good employers out there, but not as many, especially in the vegan world. I mean, I think that, and just doing what I love, like I didn't really know how to make ice cream before I did any of this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But like, I really enjoy it, and it's like super fun. It's so fun to just be able to like, especially with popsicles, once I kind of transition to the paletas, it's like so easy to just like think of any flavor I want and just like throw it into a popsicle mold and just like see what happens. It's just fun. And then, like,
Juju wants to know if you would ever do a flavor contest.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't really like, do you mean for like a flavor that like gets voted on and then I make it, or I'm not really sure like exactly what you mean. Maybe you could specify, but I think a contest would be really cool in the way of like, I always take ideas from people. Like, I don't think that I know everything. I don't think that I can think of every flavor combination. Yeah, so like that would be totally cool. I'm hopefully Uh, given like the state of the world currently, a lot of
Mhm.
the bigger things that I was working on with Ice Queen have kind of been put on hold. But I was looking at like moving forward into more of like a stationary place to be selling popsicles out of. And so like that seems like it would be an easier thing to do when I have that kind of thing.
Yes. Someone wants to know, can you talk about your transition from Baby's World to Ice Queen?
Nice.
I think I know.
So Baby's World is something that I created prior to Ice Queen. It was my background is also comes from like the punk world. And so it was a lot of like bootlegging of like shirts, and like I kind of pushed the boundaries, I feel like, of like what you could do with punk things. Before it was really limited to like black and white shirts and all of this, and I started bootlegging like sports bras. And this was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Doing like taking things from like I was familiar with like kawaii culture, of like resin, and like making these like crazy resin like glitter punk pins, and like yeah, I did all kinds of like wild stuff. And so I feel like the transition was that I got frustrated a lot with Baby's World, but I feel like kind of if you take what I was doing with Baby's World and what I do with Ice Queen, they're like kind of one and the same. They're like Ice Queen is really just an extension of Baby's World,
Right.
specifically related to like cuteness and glitter and sprinkles and like all kinds of fun shit like that.
Yeah. It's almost like it's just your style, but with a different medium that you're playing with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah. I think like creative people have a certain way of viewing the world, and it doesn't really matter what medium you're using. Like you'll still apply those same concepts in that space. So I think that's really exciting for me to watch when people have different types of businesses going on and they're fulfilling different aspects of their life and the things that they really enjoy doing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting point. Sorry, were you saying something?
I was like, do you work alone, or what is your setup like? Like, do you have a little team with you, or, what's the setup for you? I know there are a lot of solopreneurs out there.
Yeah, so I would say that the literal like making of popsicles is very much a solo thing, mostly just because I'm not big enough to be able to pay people the way that I would like to. But I definitely have like helpers that I just like pay cash to, like at pop-ups. And then I also have like my enslaved boyfriend who does a lot of shit for free. So shout out to Tyler. So I mean it's like it is solo, but I definitely bounce like a lot of my ideas off of other people. I have I have a group, not I have a group. I do a group with these other food cart entrepreneurs. So some of them are pop-ups, some of them are food carts. It's called Ice Queen Social. And we just kind of like get together and talk about different ways that we could all help each other, in different ways that, I don't know, like sharing resources and just really creating a bond beyond business. Because like a lot of times when I'm like doing a pop-up with somebody, I don't ever talk to them, so in a way, this is like, from a business standpoint, it's definitely like a solo project, but in a lot of other ways, I really like try to base myself in like community and like talking to other people and being active in that way.
Yeah. What do you think are the benefits personally for doing, I guess like we call this community work, it's the same thing that Hey Sis is doing. It's like we're building community, we're opening conversations. People can ask us for help and we're more than happy to offer help. How does that work in the food space? I'm really curious. Is there generally a lot of competition? Or is there more of like, hey, let me help a neighbor out? What's the vibe?
So it depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
You know, I have been really fortunate in like the time when I started Ice Queen. It seems like there's a lot of like uplifting. I think in the vegan community specifically, there kind of have to be, they have this, not even has to be, they have this added layer of community because you're bonded by these like ideals and like values.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of, and you're also like a niche like group of people. So a lot of times vegan businesses, I think, inherently just support other vegan businesses.
Yeah.
But I would also say that, so like I have been pretty supported by like vegan community and non-vegan community. But I would also say I have made some enemies, people who it feels like they think that there is this scarcity of like people and I'm taking their customers or something. So yeah. I think in any world, or just like any other career path, there are people who want to see you succeed and people who don't.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? I know a lot of us deal with that. I know I've dealt with that personally. And it's really easy to absorb the negativity. What do you do personally to make sure that that doesn't happen to you?
Well, if I'm being honest, like sometimes it really bothers me depending like what's the current situation. But you know, I do not to be choosy again, but you know, like there is something to be said when it's like when you have so many haters, like you really got to be doing something right. Like there's like they feel threatened in some kind of way, and I feel like that's the only way that I can think about it. But also the contrary to that is that I don't want to feel that way because I don't feel like it should be a competition that's framed in that way.
100%. Yeah. And I do feel the thing that I really love about the community that we're building right now is women are starting, well, women are starting to realize their worth, and B, starting to understand how community can actually help build your business, because you build long-lasting relationships. It's not just about you trying to force your shit onto people or trying to like beg people to buy something from you. People inherently see how genuine you are and they want to invest in you. So I think that's really amazing, and I'm definitely feeling that during these times. We have about 5 minutes left, y'all. So if anyone has any questions for Ice Queen, please drop them in the comments. I want to know anything that's on your mind. Doesn't have to be ice cream related. Business related. You want to talk to us about relationships, what's on your mind. We're here to chat. Let's see. Anything. Joop Joop says she wants to fan both of our flames. I think so another question that keeps on popping up is, obviously the entire world is going through this really strange period of time. For a lot of people, it's making them really uncomfortable to be in a state of not knowing, but also like actually having time to be alone with your feelings. Oh, here we go. How are you dealing with Rona and your biz? We talked a little bit about that in the beginning, but I think you can probably expand a little bit more. I think the general vibe that we keep getting in these interviews is like people want to know how to deal with their fear, because right, as a business owner, there's some fears of like, hey, am I going to keep on making money or not? Am I going to be able to pay my bills, my rent? Like, how do we deal with those emotions?
Yeah. Well, so for the business, just to like recap on that for those who weren't here in the beginning, I mean, I can see it's really actually impressive how creative the restaurant community has gotten. I mean, I was inspired by some others to offer contactless delivery, which I'm doing this Friday.
Amazing.
Yeah, like so many small businesses doing really cool things. My friends over at Baby Blue Pizza did pizza kit deliveries, and just really innovative ways. Arrow Coffee House I saw had like a microphone on the outside so you can talk directly to them without going inside. So it's really cool to see how creative people are having to be. With that said, it also comes with like the stress and frustrations of like, am I gonna have enough money to pay my kitchen rent? So, I mean, I think for me personally, I'm kind of like, well, if I'm being honest, like sometimes it really bothers me depending like what's the current situation. But I do not to be choosy again, but like there is something to be said when it's like when you have so many haters, like you really got to be doing something right. Like there's like they feel threatened in some kind of way, and I feel like that's the only way that I can think about it. But also the contrary to that is that I don't want to feel that way because I don't feel like it should be a competition that's framed in that way.
100%. Yeah. And I do feel the thing that I really love about the community that we're building right now is women are starting, women are starting to realize their worth, and B, starting to understand how community can actually help build your business, because you build long-lasting relationships. It's not just about you trying to force your shit onto people or trying to like beg people to buy something from you. People inherently see how genuine you are and they want to invest in you. So I think that's really amazing, and I'm definitely feeling that during these times. We have about 5 minutes left, y'all. So if anyone has any questions for Ice Queen, please drop them in the comments. I want to know anything that's on your mind. Doesn't have to be ice cream related. It can be business related. You want to talk to us about relationships, what's on your mind. We're here to chat. Let's see. Anything. Joop Joop says she wants to fan both of our flames. I think so another question that keeps on popping up is, obviously the entire world is going through this really strange period of time. For a lot of people, it's making them really uncomfortable to be in a state of not knowing, but also like actually having time to be alone with your feelings. Oh, here we go. How are you dealing with Rona and your biz? We talked a little bit about that in the beginning, but I think you can probably expand a little bit more. I think the general vibe that we keep getting in these interviews is like people want to know how to deal with their fear, because right, as a business owner, there's some fears of like, hey, am I going to keep on making money or not? Am I going to be able to pay my bills, my rent? Like, how do we deal with those emotions?
Yeah. Well, so for the business, just to like recap on that for those who weren't here in the beginning, I mean, I can see it's really actually impressive how creative the restaurant community has gotten. I mean, I was inspired by some others to offer contactless delivery, which I'm doing this Friday.
Amazing.
Yeah, like so many small businesses doing really cool things. My friends over at Baby Blue Pizza did pizza kit deliveries, and just really innovative ways. Arrow Coffee House I saw had like a microphone on the outside so you can talk directly to them without going inside. So it's really cool to see how creative people are having to be. With that said, it also comes with like the stress and frustrations of like, am I gonna have enough money to pay my kitchen rent? So, I mean, I think for me personally, I'm kind of like, while this is a very like financially stressful time, I'm kind of like appreciating the break because, you know, I go to school full time and I do this pretty much full time.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like appreciating that little space. But yeah, like I think I have had to do, like you said in the beginning, like there's this feeling of like, oh, I can't try and get new accounts, or I can't, like, hesitation to like go out there. And I've actually emailed a few accounts, and like people definitely like aren't really taking on new products right now, but I definitely had made relationships, and like the people were like, yeah, send
Yeah.
us some samples like when this is over.
Yeah. That's a
So
really great point. That's a really great point. Don't underestimate the power of this break that we have right now to start building relationships, because people are on a pause. And normally, you know, when, especially me personally, when I'm out looking for clients, it's really hard to get people's attention because people are so busy all the time. But now that they're not, now might be a really great time to go in and start building those relationships. That's a really great point.
yeah, totally. So I think that's one of the key things. It's like, if I can't make money selling my things, because unfortunately I have to make money somehow, then I can at least continue to build Ice Queen. And maybe that's even more not helpful. Maybe that's even more meaningful, because I'm actually creating relationships. I'm not just trying to like sell someone something. I'm trying to like, you know, connect beyond.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think something that we always like to touch upon is, I think the way that we grow up thinking about business is definitely through the male lens. It's very like dog eat dog, like we got to go out and get this account. And I think that we're trying to understand and build and experience this new way of conducting business, which is more through a female lens, which is more of like, hey, let me get to know you. Let's build this relationship. Let's see how we can help each other out. And I think that that's really exciting to watch you and other people do that in their businesses. And with that said, we have one more question. Someone wants to know, do you have any new or added flavors for stores?
So I don't right now. Kind of want to pause in that direction, but I did finally have the time to master a cookies and cream recipe I've been working on for a long time. So I'm sending those out with my deliveries, and I'll probably do deliveries again, maybe like next week or the week after. And yeah, like as far as new flavors go, I definitely think about switching some of them around, about what's in stores. Yeah, I guess like summer is really supposed to be my time, you know, as a pasta company. So this yeah, this is kind of like put a stop to that currently, but it's definitely something I've considered, like rolling out some more flavors or swapping some flavors out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I can't believe it's already 1 o'clock, but this was my little coffee break with Ice Cream PDX. How can we support you outside of Portland? Is there any way for us to support your brand? Somebody's asking. And also let us know what you're up to, so we can support you here. Where can we buy your stuff right now?
Cool. Yeah, so if you want to support outside of Portland, the best way to do that right now is through Instagram, just like liking photos and stuff. Unfortunately, the algorithm, you know, plays a huge role in that. I have sent some samples out to grocery stores in other states. They're just not taking on new products right now. So eventually, hopefully, I'll be in some other states. So yeah, Instagram, I would say, is the best way to support me. And then here in Portland, the best way to support me is the same, you know, like Instagram. And you can get my popsicles at People's Food Co-op. And also, I'm doing deliveries right now. So if you want some, you can see my previous post about that. And I'll probably do that again in a week or two.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming in with your questions and supporting us. We're going to do this again on Friday, so stick around, and I'll shoot everyone an update on our Instagram feed to let you know who's coming next. And if anyone wants to get interviewed or has a friend that you think would be really awesome for us to support, let us know in the comments too.
Awesome.
But
thank you.
Girl, have a really awesome day, and good luck wherever you are building your business. We're going to support you so much.
Thank you. Bye.